guys today getting intimacy from women. It's extremely easy. Um, Women have pretty much lowered the bar extremely. And guys are just for some reason are not catching up to what's going on. Now, has dating changed? Dating and relationship game has changed drastically over the last 20 years. And, I am what? I'll be 39 next month. I'll be 39 in a couple weeks. And, I've been, what, 15, 14 to 15. So add that up. What's that? 24 years or something like that, 25 years, I don't know, of experience dealing with women through a couple different decades. And one thing I can tell you is that the game has changed. It has changed. It is also a lot easier today. It's a lot easier to get intimacy from a woman. Back then, man, when I was younger, you basically, like, women required much more for their bodies. Like, women required so much more to sleep with them. And yes, they had this, there have always been, sluts and whores, but it wasn't like out loud like it is now. You had to like find and sniff the hoes out. Like, you had to like, it wasn't like every woman you see is just on that. They'll go home with you. The game wasn't really like that back in the days. But now, so why guys are not catching on to that or why guys are not adapting to that is beyond me. Like, we used to have to like when I was younger, man, we had like multiple girlfriends. Like, women wanted more for their bodies. You wasn't just going to have sex with a woman and then just leave her like that. It just wasn't going to happen because, number one, you was going to be way more invested. Like, they was going to make sure you way more invested. That old I'm only doing 2 dates and that's it. That shit was out, bro. With most women back in the day, it wasn't going like that. Now, you didn't really have to go on dates with women, but you had to put in a little bit more time. Like, you just had to. With the average woman, you had to put in a little bit more time. And you didn't have to necessarily go on dates, but you had to kick it with them more. You had to talk with them. You had to, vibe, build. It took some, And again, that's not to say that there wasn't the hoes that you could just go pick up at the club and smash the first night, one night stands and all that. That existed as well. Like, there's always been thoughts and hoes running these streets. But now it's way easier access to that type of shit. And even the women who don't consider themselves hoes or don't move like hoes, even those women even with those women who don't consider themselves hoes, for them, it's like they're more open to doing hoe shit because it's not frowned upon. Like, it's actually frowned upon now to have a problem with a whore, like, or have a problem with a woman with a high body count or something like that. Like, it's frowned upon to have a problem with that. Like, you a sucker nowadays if that don't turn you on. But back then, man, if a woman was known, like, women didn't want to be known to be hoes. Like, that was a big stigma. I'm talking about even 10 years ago. That was a huge stigma for a woman. So women move more differently and they move more carefully. Most women, I say that, most women. But today it's different. It's different. You are not even now, like, you don't even have to you don't even have to have anything to sleep with women. Like, it was harder back then. Like, if you was broke back then, like, you had to have a lot of game, bro. You had to have, like, if you was broke back then, you had to have, like, you had to have game and you had to, like, really, really, really put your fucking bid in. Now, if you was a certain type of level, you was a certain type of status, you had more access to the women who was just going off the rip. Like, if you had a certain amount of money and you was balling and you wore the jewelry, you was flashy, you was driving the cars, and you was what's considered the alpha male. And in the streets and in the real world, the alpha male is the man who get in the bag. So if you was that guy, you had access to the women that was going. But for like average guys, if you wasn't really like, if you was broke, you had to like damn near lie your way to coochie. Like you had to play boyfriend to get coochie. Now playing boyfriend or having the boyfriend vibes will get you, like women get turned off by that nowadays, but women wanted the boyfriend vibes. But it's the thing, women didn't have the sexual access like they did today. They had the sexual access, but it took effort. So if a woman wanted sexual access, it took her effort. Like she had to go put in work to get that access. So, you know, and back then, like women were a lot more tolerable. Like women tolerated more. Like women tolerated your game not being on point, or, you know, your little mishaps or whatever. That changed today. Now women are a lot less tolerable. That's one of the things that changed, and that can seem like it makes it harder. But, you know, so back then, if you a woman would like tolerate your bullshit because it was hard for her to get the sexual access. So let's say you put a woman on ice or you kicked a woman to the curb, right? A woman would literally, in order to get that type of access again, she would have to get up, go get her hair done, go get her makeup done, go get her nails done. Like it was an effort to make herself look decent and presentable, right? Then she would have to go out somewhere and pray people hit on her. Now you had certain women who knew how to like flirt and subtle flirt with men and position themselves in a way so that men will approach them. Like there's some women who know how to do that. Like they know how to play on you subtly in your vicinity and entice you to come holler at them. You had those type of women, but every woman didn't have that type of game. So a lot of women will go out back then and don't nobody hit on them. And, you know, a woman, it'd be a month before a dude showed her any type of attention or affection, because a lot of dudes, even then, didn't approach women. Only the guys approach women. Whereas now, a woman can literally put up a picture of her neck and her DM's gonna flood with that type of sexual access. So it made women less tolerable today. So you can't have as many holes in your game and it be, you know, you'll get the same results like you did back in the days. But now, bro, it's so easy to patch your game up. And what that allowed it to do, like now you guys have access to information. You guys have access to information. So there's no reason for it to be holes in your game. There's all type of books. There's all type of DVDs, seminars, YouTube channels, Instagram accounts that's literally teaching you this shit. Whereas back then, we didn't have, like, we had to learn, like we had to get in the field and learn. I didn't have nobody to call up and be like, hey, how do I cold approach? We didn't even call it that. We got picked on if you wasn't getting no hoes. Like you was like the sherm in the group. If you wasn't getting no chicks, you wasn't getting no women. You was the like you got picked on. You was the goofy. You was the sucker. If you wasn't getting no chicks, so we would go to the mall, bro. We would go to the mall or go out somewhere, and we would like make bets on who can get the most phone numbers and shit. You know, put $5 in a jar. You know, 10 of y'all put $5 in a jar. Y'all go out, and that's how you got your numbers up. You know, so it's just different today. But you know, although it seems to have gotten harder, and the only reason again it's harder is the access that women got now, which makes them less tolerant. But if you know what you're doing, you can skip over those intolerances or whatever you call it that women may have. Like you can completely skip over that if you know what you're doing. You know, and it's not hard. You can follow my Instagram account and get gamed up. Like you can follow an Instagram account and watch 30-second videos and get gamed up. We had to bump our heads and, you know, find out the hard way. But nowadays, man, women are literally throwing it away. It's like the culture to throw sex away. Like women are more, as you know, sexually liberated than there has ever been.